Hi, hello, and welcome to another edition, a Thursday edition of Dodgers Territory. I am not Alana Rizzo. She's still on vacation, but I am Clint Pasillas. I'm usually here. I'm usually in that seat, and that seat is filled today by my buddy, my pal, Jeff Spiegel. Of course, you know, the host of Dodger Heads, presented by Dodgerblue 1958 right here on the YouTube channel. Not much to talk about, huh, Jeff?
No. Yeah, it's. I like how the Dodgers spread out all the content for us, and then don't give us three incredible things in one night.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of incredible things, and then one awful thing, big thing to talk about, of course, Muncy. We'll talk a little bit later in the show about. We got to talk about a whole bunch of Kersh to start off the show. But first, I do want to remind you guys: one, rate and review the show, 5 stars, all that kind of stuff on the podcast platforms. Like, subscribe, and do check out Dodgers Territory merch over at DodgersTerritoryShop.com, or click the store button here on the YouTube. Support the show in style. I'd appreciate it. Alana would appreciate it. The people that cash our checks or pay our checks, whatever, would also appreciate it if you would help support the show. But with all of that said, we got to talk about King Kersh, presented by our friends at DraftKings. Thank you to DraftKings. This is the DraftKings Player Spotlight, and today it is the King Kersh Player Spotlight powered by DraftKings. We are here to appreciate, Jeff, we are here to appreciate Clayton Edward Kershaw becoming the 20th pitcher to reach the 3,000 strikeout I don't know if it's a plateau because he's not done, but we got there. 20th, fourth left-hander to do it in the history of game. I was there. Special moment. Dodgers, the stadium was. Everybody was behind every moment. I've never felt so much anxiety, to watch seeing him come out of the dugout in the 6th inning. There was so much that was special about it. What was your vantage point? What were your thoughts, running through your head of a game that kind of literally had everything?
Yeah, if you had a camera into my house, you would think I was watching a World Series game. I was doing a lot of pacing, a lot of crouching, a lot of moving to the back of the room, to the front of the room. My daughters definitely thought I was a psychopath. If they didn't already think that, they were now convinced that I'm a psychopath. It was incredible. And like everybody else, I wasn't entirely sure they were going to get there, but they did. It was weird because to me, Clint, I thought Kershaw was actually really good last night. He had more swings and misses than he had in any start all season, and yet for some reason just couldn't put anybody away. So kudos to Dave Roberts for leaving him in. I thought that strikeout at the end of the 5th probably bought him the 6th, and then he gets it on the 100th pitch, his last batter that he faces. So incredible night. Kershaw is my all-time GOAT as a Dodgers fan, and so last night was huge. That was like genuinely, as a fan, an incredible experience to get to watch that.
Yeah, and again, being there, I put the phone down. I was all about trying to soak it all in. I was really hoping and waiting Kersh would come out for second or third curtain call. Yeah. But Clayton, he's like, I don't really feel great about this game. Gave up 4 runs. From my vantage point, it looks like he was struggling a little bit. I know maybe Jim Wolf didn't have the best game behind the plate, but we got there. What a story to finally be able to get there. Credit, like you had mentioned, credit the White Sox as well. I mean, they were out there hacking. Nobody wanted to be that indelible image of 3,000, number 3,000 there. And just massive credit to Dave Roberts for understanding, a lot of people paid a lot of good money to be out there and watch that. Get this out of the way, because it just wouldn't feel the same if it was happening in Milwaukee. You got to get Kershaw getting that moment at home, and we got there. We 100% got there. The stadium, absolutely electric when he came back out there in the 6th. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Any other little things, something that was special about it, understanding that we've all been watching this dude for his entire career, 18 years, and knowing that he's never going to put a different uniform on.
Yeah, that's exactly it. This is a guy that, I'm in my mid-30s, so this is somebody I've essentially grown up watching my entire adult life as a Dodger player. And not only is he an incredible baseball player, which I will talk about in a second, but just like a guy that you're happy to root for. We know as fans that sometimes you sort of have to plug your nose a little bit to root for some guys for one reason or another. But Kershaw's just the best. And there was a video that his family put out talking about how for every strikeout, he's giving away money to help support people in Africa. And for 3,000 times he's done that is incredible. Insane. But as far as the pitcher too, strikeouts is a big number. Obviously that's an important number. We've seen only 20 guys in Major League history have gotten there. I've made the case I don't think anybody else is going to get there. But the thing about strikeouts, the reason we value them is because strikeouts are incredibly helpful at preventing the other team from scoring runs. And this morning, I woke up and I was reminded that Clayton Kershaw is the greatest pitcher of the last 75 years at preventing the other team from scoring runs. So, yes, he has 3,000 strikeouts, but he's like, I think, one of 4 guys with a sub-3 ERA in that group. And he literally has the best ERA of all time. So, he's a guy who gets it via the strikeout, but he also limits runs. He's, again, my favorite Dodger of all time. Yeah. I think the greatest pitcher of this generation. I know there's arguments for Verlander or Scherzer, but to me, it's Kershaw, and absolutely electric to see that happen last night.
Yeah, you and I think we talked a little bit before the season about like, hey, where does Clayton Kershaw fit in this very overstuffed Dodgers starting rotation? Well, that proved to not be an issue for very long, but at the same time, like when they re-signed Kershaw, it's like, what are you going to get out of this dude? But now you see him. Even what I love is that when he's having a bad start, he's still able to battle, and it's still pretty dang good. I don't qualify last night necessarily as a bad start, but to see him be able to be like a very important piece. He is the number 2 starter for all intents and purposes right now, and even now in his age 37 season or whatever it is, he continues to get the job done, and thankfully, again, I'll say it again, he's going to ride off into the sunset in a Dodger uniform. And right where I was sitting above me at Dodger Stadium is where they have all the retired numbers, and they panned during the game. They did pan all of the retired numbers there. There's a space. There will be a space for 22 about 5 years after his playing career is done. But props, kudos, thank you to Clayton Kershaw for all he's done for this team, for all of us, because I, like you, I'm a little bit older than you, 40 this year, but watch Kershaw, still imagining that first strikeout of Sean Casey in spring training at Vero Beach. That's how long ago it was. He was pitching at Vero Beach, up to, seeing him get gray in the beard, see him have as many kids as he possibly can. To 3,000 strikeouts, and hopefully one more World Series ring by the time all is said and done at the end of this season, and then potentially he's hanging it up. But love you, Kersh. Thank you, Kersh, and again, thank you to everybody who made that day possible. They couldn't have done it without me being in the stands. I'll give myself the credit of that. Now, I'll say again, I'm happy it was done at home. It would have been an absolute shame if they had to do it in the next road series in Milwaukee. Quickly to today, of course, Dodgers look to go for the series sweep of the White Sox tonight. They have Dustin May on the mound, and I was looking, of course, with our friends at DraftKings Pick 6. I'm looking at Dustin May to go ahead and give us the more than 4.5 strikeouts today on the Pick 6 app. Check it out with DraftKings Pick 6. It's crazy simple to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players. Make those picks, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. Nail your picks, and you are going to be heating up. Pick 6 brings upside with payouts up to 500 times. And I'll say, Pick 6 from DraftKings is the most fun way to play fantasy sports. It's not a lot of thinking, which I appreciate. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now. Use code FOUL, that's code FOUL, for new customers and get a special sign-up offer. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Now, Jeff, it wasn't all sunshine and roses. It wasn't entirely Clayton Kershaw's night because, of course, we had the tough break with Max Muncy going down with the knee pain, as the Dodgers called it, understatement of the year. Let's dive into the latest with Max and what happens if he's potentially done for the year on blue balls. A lot of things happen on this show. You got to hit the front ends there to make it fun, make it exciting. But Jeff, beyond Clayton Kershaw, again, emotionally exhausting game, and for the injury to happen, not even minutes, like a minute before strikeout 3,000. It was tough. It was definitely a deflating moment for everybody involved. It didn't look good. Max Muncy's knee is not supposed to go that way. The fact, obviously, that they didn't even want to show the replay on the SNLA broadcast said something. Did not look, I saw it in real life, did not look good, looked much worse in the replays. Devastating blow, but the Dodgers are optimistic. Where are you at with this Muncy knee injury as of 12:11 Pacific time today?
Yeah, so still no updates on the MRI that, as it says here from Alden Gonzalez, that was going to be happening today. Dave said he was optimistic. We joked. I think every Dodgers fan just filters out the word optimistic and hopeful when Dave Roberts uses it regarding injuries, because how could they possibly know anything in such a short amount of time? I am not optimistic. I would say I'm pessimistic. I think anybody who saw that replay would be pessimistic. Best case scenario for Muncy, to me, feels like 6 to 8 weeks. Worst case scenario, done for the season. So I think this is a big deal because Max Muncy, when he left the lineup a year ago, Clint, was a massive difference maker. The Dodgers offense almost immediately slumped from when Muncy left the lineup. They do not have, they have obvious replacements. Kike Hernandez comes to mind first. I wouldn't say they have obvious, compelling replacement plans for Max Muncy necessarily. And so do I think this is going to torpedo the Dodgers season? No. But do I think this is going to make a dent? Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to ask about, we know the internal options. Of course, immediately, Esteury Ruiz is coming up from AAA. We know Max is about an hour and a half away from hitting the injured list officially, but he is done for at least today, at least the next 10 days, maybe best case scenario a month. But gut tells me, they're trying to eyewash this. They want us to feel good, not really sully the 3,000 K night by saying, it's optimistic. Hey, whatever. Maybe he's going to be okay. But no, we're going to be without Max Muncy for a while. And like I said, that is, like you said, it is a big blow to the lineup because he was pretty much the heart and soul of the middle of the lineup right now, him and Andy Pajes helping out. Quickly, I had your tweet up there. For the folks that aren't paying attention as much down at AAA, what can you tell them about what Ruiz, well, first his big league career a little bit, but also what he's done for the Dodgers at AAA level and what hopefully we could expect out of him for however long he's up here?
Yeah, came over at the beginning of the season, known as a speedy center fielder. I would say defense was not a plus necessarily. The bat was the question mark, and the Dodgers acquired him. They sent him to AAA. Beginning of the season, I would say, was kind of fine. It's a hitter's environment down in AAA, so anytime you see numbers, you kind of have to dig in a little bit and say what's real and what's, bad pitching and high altitude here. But Ruiz, as the tweet showed, he's been on fire for the last month or so. OPS over 900, home runs in back-to-back games. So what does all that mean? I don't know. He's still not going to solve any problems defensively in center field. I'm terrified of the idea of Conforto, Esteury Ruiz, and Teoscar Hernandez sharing an outfield together at some point. Although he has speed, I don't think there's going to be a ton there. So I was surprised it was him just because I don't know, what actually he provides to them that they don't already have in some form or fashion. I thought maybe they would go Alex Freeland, a guy who can give them depth in the infield. Maybe they would go James Outman and just say, hey, Outman, all you're going to do is come into the game in seventh inning when we need a defensive player to stand in between some guys who aren't very good out there. But they opt for Ruiz. I imagine this is a short-term thing that he's not going to play a whole lot. But he has been hot offensively of late, so maybe they tapped into something with a guy as the Dodgers player development has been prone to do.
Yeah, you mentioned Outman. That was the initial guy. I thought it was going to be Outman just because he's there in the 40-man. To be fair, I forgot Ruiz was on the 40-man, and that's what's tough for Alex Freeland, him not being on the 40-man yet, unless I'm wrong about that, but you confirm. They don't really have, as we know, a lot of 40-man roster spots to play with. So I guess for now, you definitely assume Kike's getting the lion's share of playing time at third base. Miggy Rowe will get some opportunities in there. Maybe Tommy Edman, maybe Ha-Seong Kim if they just decide to be a little crazy. Alex Freeland, obviously, he started the season very nice. He's kind of tapered and sort of had a perfectly fine season. if they stay the internal route, because I do want to talk about some external options, some trade options, as we both sit here fully being aware, it's very highly unlikely Max Muncy is playing third base for this team in September and into the postseason. So you're going to need a body there. Is Alex Freeland? Could he finally be an answer for this team, or maybe even like let's go Cody Hosey, who's just sort of wasting away at AAA at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting. We just, before coming on, I recorded with Bill Plunkett of the Orange County Register, and he said they like Alex Freeland. He doesn't necessarily think that Freeland is going to be an option. I will be curious. I think if Muncy does get moved to the 60-day IL, which would take him off of the 40-man roster, I think that would be the time and place when Alex Freeland might come up. It would open up a spot on the 40-man. Freeland's going to need to be added by the end of the season anyway. So I think if Muncy is done for the year, or at least 60 days, then maybe Freeland becomes an option. You mentioned it. He's been fine. I think he's like a 850 OPS guy down to AAA, which sounds great, but it's AAA, so it's not amazing. More walks than strikeouts in the month of June, 900 OPS. So he's been fine there, but I personally would love to see him get a runway. You've got a massive lead in the division. It's July. Give him a month. See what he has. See if this is a guy who can be the short-term answer. He's maxed out at AAA. But this just isn't typically how the Dodgers have operated with Ha-Seong Kim, even with Andy Pages last year. So I'm skeptical they would do that. I think their default is Kike Hernandez, Miguel Rojas, figure it out from there. But if it were me, I would love to see Alex Freeland given, 4 to 6 weeks to figure this thing out.
Yeah, I could see maybe like a post-trade deadline. If they don't make a move, I could see Freeland maybe getting a little bit of that runway, especially if maybe Kike or Miggy Rowe don't really take a stranglehold of the position. But, really wasn't expecting to be having to talk 3B trade options, but I did put together a little bit of sheet with the help of an intern here at Foul Territory. Thank you to Henry for some of the names here, which a few of them I love, but let's look external options. I already seen in the chat people mentioning Nolan Arenado. Look, it's not happening.
The first name you're going to hear, I know it in the chat. The first name you're getting is Arenado.
People want to say Nolan Arenado. It's not going to happen. And one, he's not great. Two, the Cards are in it right now, so that's something. I think they're tied for like a wild card spot, or they're very close to a wild card spot. But see, these are some of the names that I don't know if these are sexy names or not. Of course, Bregman on the IL for Boston, but the Red Sox are kind of going nowhere, and they traded their third baseman kind of with the intention of keeping Alex Bregman around. Austin Riley on there. I don't see the Braves trading away Ryan McMahon and Suarez. What they're not going to trade to the Dodgers. They're not going to trade. Sorry, the Rockies and the Diamondbacks are not going to trade in division. But that last name, Jose Ramirez, J-Ram. Let's talk a little J-Ram and Dodger Blue. He's got 3 years left on his deal, plus whatever's left of this year. Cleveland kind of out of it right now. 4 games back in the wild card. What do you think? Do you think the Dodgers? Do you think this front office could pull some trade deadline magic and make J-Ram a possibility for the Dodgers?
It's interesting because Max Muncy's contract, for those unfamiliar, he has a team option for next year, which seemed like a foregone conclusion would be picked up. I think it's like $10 or $12 million, so it's a very affordable number. However, if he were to be out for the season and then coming back from some major knee surgery, I think that makes things interesting. You mentioned some of the names down at AAA. There is not an obvious long-term answer at third base at the top of the minor league system. Alex Freeland is probably the long-term shortstop plan if Mookie Betts ever moves over to second base. Tommy Edman can play center field. Ha-Seong Kim is sort of a utility guy. So I think third base is open, so a guy like Ramirez would make some sense. You mentioned it's going to be expensive. He's one of the best players in Major League Baseball. I love Jose Ramirez. He's one of my favorite players in Major League Baseball that's not a Dodger. I love that he's a little guy who just absolutely smashes the ball. I love that he's incredibly consistent. I think he seems like a joyful guy, a positive guy to be around. Teoscar Hernandez vibes just the way that I see other players interacting with him. And so, look, if the Dodgers wanted to make a move and could figure something out, I don't know if I would want to be dipping into the position player prospects that the Dodgers have down in the lower levels, the Jose DePaula, Zaire Hope types, because I just think the ceiling on those guys is so high. I'm trying not to be a prospect hugger, but I think if you can sort of focus primarily on maybe trading away some of maybe pitching depth that they have at the upper minors and get there, I think he could be intriguing. So I think the Dodgers will kick the tires. It feels a little ambitious. It feels like Cleveland would have to be blown away to move off of him. And so, I have one other name that I can throw out there that is not going to excite anybody in the wake of a Jose Ramirez conversation. But the name that I saw, just as someone who might be available, that caught my attention was Luis Rengifo of the Angels. Now, would the Angels trade with the Dodgers? Maybe that counts as a divisional team that would never do it. Who knows? But we know the Dodgers have gone after Rengifo before. He was in the famed fallen apart Jock Peterson, Ross Stripling trade from a million years ago. The last 2 seasons, he's been a 116 weighted runs created plus guy. He plays all over the infield, so he can be kind of a utility guy. Not great defensively, but if the Dodgers basically look, I think, at their internal options and say, Freeland isn't ready, Rojas isn't good enough, Kike, we want to be able to flex and move all over the place. Yeah. I wonder if Rengifo, as a guy who's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, could just be sort of this temporary stopgap, wouldn't cost them a ton, wouldn't cost them any of their top prospects. So, again, that's not a sexy name, but it feels like to me that would be an upgrade over Rojas and Kike, even though he's having a bad year this year. That's my view.
Yeah, fair. And you would assume like a change of scenery would help him out a little bit. Problem is, I mean, he seems to be pretty, Rengifo that is, seems to be pretty, an important piece of a weird kind of not awful Angels lineup, but still, and we know Artie's an idiot. He doesn't want to trade, get any sort of prospects or anything like that. I love the idea of a stopgap. I'm at a point where obviously I'm coming very out of pocket here, throwing J-Ram out there, but that's where I'm looking. Something you had mentioned, like if Max is out, like he has to have knee surgery. It's not like he's coming back for opening day next year, and it's not like they're going to be able to plug him in and he's going to be perfect at third base by even All-Star break. This is a very long process. Again, there's no news. I'm seeing people asking in the chat. It's like, is there news? There's no news on Max yet. He's still undergoing testing. I'm erring on the side of less optimism than the organization is, and I'm looking at, like you mentioned, Jeff, there are no clear, obvious answers and options for the third base position for this team. They have a lot of talent. As much as I would hate to see, a Zaire Hope or Jackson Ferris or whatever, like these type of dudes, some of the top 10 prospects move. Yeah. If you're able to get one of the best third baseman in baseball, one of the best hitters in baseball, you can play him at third, play him at second, whatever makes the most sense for your team. A couple years down the road, the contract isn't crazy. $21 million owed next year, 23 in 27, and in 2028 only $25 million. I mean, that's kind of chump change when you're talking about the Los Angeles Dodgers, and you immediately improve at third base in a season where you're trying to run it back to back. But again, with no obvious third base options, just pounding down the door or even gently tapping or ringing a doorbell. It's like they need somebody to be a long-term solution, because even so, as much as like we love Max, like he is on the wrong side of 30 now. He wasn't going to be the option for the next, until 2028 either way. So this is the Los Angeles Dodgers. They have the prospect capital to make a J-Ram move happen. I think it's really about whether or not Cleveland is interested in kind of officially starting a rebuild, because they've probably really needed a true rebuild for a while. Weak AL Central, and they're still a number of games out, a number of games behind the whoever's leading there in the Central right now. I forget at the moment. It's, again, who cares about the Tigers. AL Central? Tigers, that's right. Duh, they're the other good team in baseball. They got no shot. Just trade J-Ram, make him a Dodger. Everybody's happy. And then once he's back and healthy, he could be on the bench. You got some sock. He can play around a little bit. Spelling, we lost you for a second there. Freddie at first, some third base, second base, and all that kind of stuff. But that's where I'm at. I push my chips in. If I'm the front office, I push my chips in trying to make a Jose Ramirez deal happen. Now, people in the chat, understandably, like, it's going to cost a lot. I don't see it happening. A lot of things need to break the right way for the Dodgers to make this move happen. But I think they can. I really do think they can.
Yeah, well, and he plays a solid defensive third base as well, which is worth pointing out. So you'd be
Yeah.
upgrading offensively, even as well as Max Muncy had been playing. You'd be upgrading defensively as well. And I mean, he's a superstar. And I think the point you made about the cost, like 20 to $25 million a year for 3 years is absolutely nothing, especially
deal.
if this guy was on the free agent market. If you wanted to sign him to a 3-year deal, you'd be talking like $50 million a year, probably on that short of a deal. So I love Jose Ramirez, would be thrilled if they were able to pull it off. I just don't know if they go all in that way, I guess is the best way of putting it.
Yeah, again, this is me being very optimistic and hopeful, and
I like it.
maybe I'm drunk at almost 12:30 in the afternoon here on a Thursday, but the Dodgers need some help, and we're hoping. Hey, we're hoping. Francisco had left a super chat earlier in the show saying pessimistic with Muncy's knee, but there's also a reason to be hopeful that it is just a sprain, but that still takes some time to come back from that. So we'll wait. This was me just going all in on
like
trades right now. We'll have some fun with that, and still hope for the best for Max, because this team absolutely needs him.
Would you accept Alex Bregman as a member of the Dodgers if he was willing to be, if the Red Sox were willing to trade him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that his swing profile is great at Dodger Stadium for what it is, but with the whole cheating scandal and all that, like I'm in this to win. And if he is somebody who makes the team better, plays a very good defense at third, has anything left in the bat. Again, he started very well playing in Boston, but that's a park that's kind of built for his swing, just peppering things off of the monster out there in left field. But I don't know that the Red Sox are very interested in doing another big trade with the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's fair.
It has not worked out well for them.
No, it hasn't. Yeah, Bregman's an interesting one. Again, there's some speculation he might be available if they can't get him to a long-term deal, since he's got player options from here on out. But I think a very conflicted Dodger fan base if Alex Bregman were to become available. That's for sure.
Yeah, hell no to Bregman, says Kenny Chung. Guys, quickly, we got a couple more things we wanted to talk about, but we're going to be back after a word from our friends at Foul.
Building a hair growth routine is easy, only if you go with Nutrafol. Why is that, Todd Father?
Nutrafol, you think about hair. For me, sometimes the hair gets thinning. This thing will thicken your hair up as much as you need. You think about going to weddings or going to the beach or just hanging out with friends and you want to take photos. You want your hair to look good, and this is the best possibility for it.
Yeah, and thinning hair is different for men and women, so a one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth, that's not it, okay? They have multiple formulas for men and for women that are tailored to fit different stages of life, okay? So go check out Nutrafol. Building a hair growth routine can be easy, and you order online. There's no prescription needed as well. Free shipping, automated deliveries, and for a limited time, Nutrafol is offering the FT fam $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code FOUL, F-O-U-L. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FOUL.
Quickly, before we get out of here and we let Jeff go and live his life, I wanted to let you guys know about something Alana is promoting on her social media right now. She's always working for the doggos, even when she's on vacation. But Morgan was somebody that was found. She had a lot of issues. She was, very much a rescue right now, and they're trying to nurse Morgan back to health. And what Guidry's Guardian is looking for is some help. Anything with donations, anything, going to the website. If you have food, if you have treats, toys, all of that kind of stuff, every little thing helps. Like even Alana says, $10 goes a long way in helping out. Guidry'sGuardian.org. It is all... it's funded by everybody, like she tries not to go too crazy, putting a lot of money out of her pocket, but she does put a lot of money out of her pocket to help take care of the pups. But I just want to make sure everybody knows Guidry's needs your help, Morgan needs your help, and we appreciate Alana, and she will be back on Monday, by the way, doing a lot of things, co-hosting Foul Territory as well. But before we go, Jeff, there was one last Kershaw thing I wanted to look at, and you and I were talking just before going live. I loved this graphic MLB put out with all of the catchers who have caught Clayton Kershaw, who have caught at least one strikeout. Dalton Rushing all the way at the bottom there with 2 Ks. But who is your favorite name, or like the name that popped out on this list?
I'll be honest. There's a couple people on here I don't remember as human beings that played baseball for the Dodgers. So apologies to Ramon Hernandez and Danny Ardwan.
Legend.
But Dioner Navarro was the name that jumped out to me. I don't know why. I vividly remember him. I believe acquired in a trade with the Rays, if I'm not mistaken. 106 strikeouts. Yankees? Maybe
Yankees?
he came. You're right.
I
think you're right. Yeah. So there you go. It shows how little I remember Dioner Navarro. But shout out to Dioner Navarro because his name was on this graphic.
That's what we're looking for. We're very proud of you, Dioner, for showing up and being somebody that played baseball. I mean, he was supposed to be the future until I think it was like a knee or a hip injury, some sort of injury paved the way to Russell Martin becoming the starting catcher for the team for a good amount of time. The name that I really loved, and I even said it, was just the very, very random Matt Trainer in there. Also, shout out Danny Ardwan being in there, just existing. Tim Fedorovich, who's now back with the organization in like a roving instructor role, I think, whatever. A lot of people helped Kersh get to the 3,000 strikeout mark, and hopefully we keep on going. Let's get to 4,000, Kersh. It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's definitely not gonna happen. No. But guys, appreciate you hanging out with us. I very much appreciate Jeff joining me here on Dodgers territory. I think we officially kicked off trade season today, by the way. So hopefully people start going wild with with J-Ram trade chatter and all that. But guys, make sure. Oh yeah, I'll roll out the red carpet for you. Tell people where to find you if for some reason they don't already know.
Yeah, Dodgerblue 1958 on YouTube. I host the Dodger Head Show. We're live Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. We had a special one last night, but we'll be live tonight, myself and Bruce Kuntz. So you can head over tonight if you're looking for more content. I'm sure Clint and his crew will be live tonight as well. So you can join us. Again, Dodgerblue 1958, and then I'm at Jeff Spiegel on Twitter as well.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Jeff. Yeah, I'll be live on my channel the second we hear any new news about Max Muncy. That's the plan over All Dodgers. Do check it out. But guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate you. Don't forget, Dodgers Territory has merch. Go help support the show if you can. If you can't, the best way to support the show is leave a like, subscribe to the channel, rate and review the podcast, all of that kind of stuff. But other than that, I'll be back on Monday. Alana will be back on Monday, and we'll see you then. Bye.